Hello. I am here live. Good morning. There's some music playing in the background. I have a microphone hooked up. Please let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay, if the balance between the music and the audio is okay. I had a lot of technical difficulties this morning getting set up, but I am here live now and excited to see all of you, although I can't see any of you, but I can see a bunch of names here in the chat. So a couple things to mention before I get into sort of introductions and talk about what it is I'm going to do in today's live stream. Number one is a light burnt out. So I normally have these two bright lights that are beaming down on me so that you can, in the audience, see me. But one of them, for some reason, is not working. I think you can see me probably okay. And if I go to this other camera over here, I hope that you can see me and still hear me over here. But if things don't look as perfect today, it's one of the lights is missing, so I'll have to investigate that. And I've last time I did a live stream, my sort of test fall live stream, I had a bunch of technical difficulties where the stream would freeze and I had to restart the computer, and I did some things, upgraded some stuff. I hope that that's not going to be a problem, but obviously we'll keep an eye on that together. So welcome. This is
Coding Rainbow.
Live episode number something, but in a way this is the first episode for fall 2006, and I am 2006. Oh my God, oh boy, 2006 was a nice year. I remember that. It's 2016, in case you were wondering. I'm a little out of sorts, as you can tell, as I always am. I'm rushing down here to get to the School for Poetic Computation, which is artist collective and school here in the West Village of New York City, where I have a broadcasting studio. And this being episode 1 of this fall season. So what I'm going to do this fall is I am going to use this Coding Rainbow live stream to cover a course that I am teaching. Oh, I am just so not prepared. I'm going to go here. So if you go to schiffman.net/A2Z, you will find a website with a page which documents the material that I'm going to be covering this fall. And here you can see the first, there are some notes here for this first session entitled Introduction, P5JS, JavaScript, and Strings. So I got a bunch of things to get out of the way here. So there's so much to do to introduce, but I just want to get into the material and all that sort of stuff. I have a new sound system, which none of you are probably interested in, but I could pretend that except that I'm not actually swearing all the time, and I can pretend that I did something really, really exciting. All right, this is kind of useless. Anyway, so my name is Dan Schiffman. This is a live stream that I do once per week. It looks like for the next few weeks, the time and place will be Wednesday morning around 10 or 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, the time that it is right now. At some point in October, I'm probably going to move to a Tuesday afternoon time. But I'll keep you posted about that. YouTube has this brand new feature which allows me to set the time. And I know that a lot of you in the chat were complaining because I set the time for 10 a.m. and then I got here and I wasn't ready, and then I set it for 10:15, and then I think I set it for like 10:20. So I will try not to do that too much in the future. Yeah, so Chris in the chat is asking for the This Dot song. I didn't get it loaded onto this soundboard thing that I have, so I will have to do that at some point. Maybe I can take a short break and load it on there. So I will get the This Dot song back. Okay, so I teach full-time at a program called ITP, itp.nyu.edu. I had the first session of a class called Programming from A to Z yesterday. It went pretty well. It went better than this is going so far. And what I'm going to do each week is teach my physical in-person class and then do the same class here in a live stream. And so today will really be introductions. And I think I posted to Twitter. If I go to my Twitter. I've retweeted a bunch of things, yada, yada, yada. Isn't there an image with this one? No. Wait, where? Where did I post that? Hold on. Ah! I can't find it. I have a, hold on, I have an idea. Everyone bear with me for a second. Oh, I think I posted it to the Slack channel. So many things. I am pulling up an image which has my list of notes, which I want to make sure I have. And let's see if magical airdrop will work. Oh, I don't have Bluetooth probably on in this computer. I'm just going to tweet it. That'll work. Live now. YouTube. This is great. This is riveting for you. /Schiffman /live. Okay, I'm tweeting that image. So now I can pull it up here and possibly download it. Let's see if we find it. There we go. Okay, so let me save this image. Overview, and just put it on my desktop. And I can go away from here. Oh, seriously? Okay, so this is a little bit of a reference here for me. So this is kind of my plan for today. This is on the whiteboard from my physical class yesterday. And so a couple things that I'm going to do. One is I want to talk about the overall goals and of the course that I'm going to teach each week this fall. I want to talk a little bit about some of that will involve client-side versus server-side. I want to talk about whether I'm using libraries or not using libraries. Some of the topics that I want to cover specifically related to JavaScript. And then I want to make a few video tutorials about DOM manipulation. Mostly I'm going to point you to some existing video tutorials, and then when one doesn't exist, I will make a new one. I want to talk about the basics of how strings work in JavaScript. And then I want to look at text input. And the coding challenge for today, which I will do a little later before, I'm going to be here for, my plan is to be here for about 2.5 or 3 hours, if I can survive, is to create something called a diastic. So I'm going to introduce you to someone if you're not familiar with, Jackson McLowe, who is an American poet and performance artist, born in 1922. I'm just reading the Wikipedia page for you. McLowe pioneered a lot of computational methods in poetry without the use of a computer. And one of these methods was known as a diastic. And what I want to look at is Jackson McLowe's diastic system for generating poetry out of a found text, which he did manually, and I'm going to create a JavaScript web page which will generate the poetry for you. So this is kind of like I'm taking a left turn or a right turn or some sort of turn, in that this semester a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is how to work with text, text analysis, text generation, poetry generation, sentiment analysis, anything that has to do with reading text as input to a program and generating text as output to a program. So this is the other thing that I'm trying to figure out. I think that I'm going to have a new playlist in my YouTube channel, which is going to be known from here on out as the Programming from A to Z playlist. And I think what I'm going to do right now is start my first video tutorial of the day, what I'll do is use this as a 10-minute introduction to where the origins of the ideas for this course came from and what the goals of the course are. So this is going to be something that people will later watch, maybe if they choose to tune into my channel, as an introductory video to the course. And then in that video, I'll probably mention the Patreon thing that I'm doing, where you can, if you want to turn in assignments and have discussion, you can subscribe for a Slack channel. Okay, I don't want to over promote that sort of thing. Ozal86 in the chat asks, why only 720p? I was just sort of worried about bandwidth and latency, so I'm live streaming at 720p. It seemed like the quality is good enough. It's a pretty good internet connection here. It's a Verizon Fios connection. It seems to be working pretty well, but if people want to, I could do a test at 1080p if that makes a difference. Yes, so T00bed mentions just like Burroughs cut-ups. So William Burroughs' cut-up method is another text mashup method that I want to reference, also something known as erasure. If you change your mind, I'm the first in line. If I sing the song, is that like a copyright violation? Yeah, so Noah asked, oh, you're actually reading the chat. So I am reading the chat, but I can't really guarantee. I'm not following it. And I wouldn't, you ask questions in there, have a discussion. I'll kind of peek at it from time to time. And when I'm sort of in video tutorial recording mode, that's when I generally don't look at the chat too much. And everyone's going to tell me that the camera shut off. I know that it shut off. This happens every half an hour. It's a problem that I have not been able to fix, even though I've been doing this for over a year. If I could, by crowdfunding and YouTube advertising takes off, I'll buy some new cameras that won't have this problem. What was I going to say? So in case you're not aware, if this is your first time joining in, I do something that's a little bit unfortunate and causes some confusion, which is that I do this live stream, and the live stream exists as an archive, but I also then re-upload separate edited chunks of videos from this live stream that at mathblanks on Twitter. I think I got that right. Somebody in the chat post Mathieu's Twitter handle. Helps me with editing. So sometimes you'll see a new video gets posted, which is just what you've seen before, but this is for people who find it later and just want to watch the important chunks in a playlist. And so I don't have a better way of doing it as of yet, but I'm open to suggestions. Okay. So let's see, what else do I have here? So I think this is going to be good. I'm ready. I don't have, actually, I did a terrible job. I made this soundboard and I didn't put any of my music on it. I have this, which is the background instrumental music. Getting warmed up here for the Coding Rainbow theme song, which will be probably coming out this week. I will release it on SoundCloud. There will also be a little music video, trailer, promotional video for my channel. A lot of people have helped me with that, and the credits of that will be with the video release. I also have a lot of green screen footage of myself that I will release that was used for the video that you can all play with if you want. Last time I didn't do any dancing because somebody complained about my dancing and it made me feel very neurotic, and then I got over it after 4 or 5 days, so it's happening again. Okay. Oh, that was ABBA. No, Erasure did not cover that song. I just completely sang the wrong song. What's a well-known Erasure song? That's really hilarious that Erasure greatest hits. Yes. Yes, a little respect. Oh, l'amour. That's good. I actually went to an Erasure concert, if you can believe that. I think it was at the Beacon Theater in New York City probably like 20 years ago. Okay, I'm off topic, way off topic. Okay, let me get to the syllabus here. And I'm going to do my introduction to the class. Oh, they actually did cover it though. Okay. Okay, they did. Okay. As long as I'm getting my 80s pop music references correct, is that even the 80s? Then everything's going to be okay. By the way, this is what I thought my sound effect for when I'm debugging. Okay, never mind. You guys don't care. Okay. All right, so here we go. I'm going to do a quick, actually, let me, oh, how's the focus on the whiteboard? It actually looks like it might be a little bit off, and I need to erase it. Erasure. See, can I play? This is what I'm always wondering. Sometimes I have a desire to play other music. And of course, now you can't see if the focus is any good if I'm erasing it. Uh, let's see. Let me just see if I can fix that a little bit. Oh, this is not going to work. Maybe I'm going to just check the chat. Maybe you guys say it's okay. Focus seems fine. Okay, so I'll just leave it. Yeah, ALGC19 asked, are you going to cover the rainbow topics in future streams or just the classes? So this is a great question. I have this GitHub repository with a ton of requested topics. I didn't finish my traveling salesperson genetic algorithm. There's more to do with the Agario coding challenge. I really want to get to more Connect videos. You know, one thing is that it's, so yes, I do intend to revisit those topics throughout this fall. For the first few weeks, I'm going to be focusing on this course. The course has various weeks where there are student presentations and final project stuff, which is happening in the physical class, which means I kind of have a week off from some of the A to Z content, in which case I'll return to some of those topics. And honestly, you know, I would love to, I enjoy this so much, and I would love to have more time to do it, but it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of energy, and I have this other, it doesn't make very much money, and I also have this full-time job at NYU. So at some point, as I grow this thing that I'm doing and find other ways of getting more time or resources and other guests to be involved, I hope to be able to have more and more time for kind of have a course going and other coding challenges going, or maybe 2 courses going at the same time, twice a week live. By courses, I mean twice a week live streams. So, oh, I'm totally in the wrong camera. I was just talking and talking and talking. I really have I used to be so good at switching the camera. I need to build a sensor that just knows where I'm standing. Sorry everybody. I mean, the thing is, I often have also thought of building my own streaming system, not relying on YouTube, in which case you could just pick which camera you want to see or stream both of them, but someday. Okay. So here we go. So let me, okay, let me see here. So I want to, I'm going to make a video now to introduce the course. And I just want to get a couple links going, which I think might be useful. Let me just see here. This is fine. I'll leave this open, this open. I want to reference. I'm just pulling up some links of people that I want to make sure I reference who have really been inspirational in terms of coming up with the topics for this course. Sorry, everybody, I'm almost there. And I think this will do the trick for me. Okay. Okay. All right. How are we doing on time? So far, the stream hasn't broken. Oh, I can't see the time anywhere. That's fine. 10:40 a.m. That's where I can see the time. Okay. The good news is I'm not rushing off to go anywhere today. I'm going to have plenty of other stuff to do. But last time I did a live stream, I felt a lot of pressure to get to everything, and we'll see how I go. I mean, there's a ceiling on how much energy I have. Although I have had this idea of doing some kind of I was thinking of doing a Processing Foundation fundraiser, which would be like a telethon that just have like a live stream going for 24 hours. Probably not 24 hours, maybe just like 12 hours. People coming in and out, and like a phone bank where you could call in, donate your money. Okay. Here we go. I'm really getting started now. If I need to, ooh, this, sorry, I just want to look for my, is this really my whiteboard? Oh wait, no, I have the other whiteboard markers over here. I bought some new ones, which I'm hoping will work well. Let me try this one. I have a big problem getting started. I have to do a better job at this. Okay, here we go. No, that's not the one. I like this other. Hello. Oh, no, okay, hold on. I'm going to use this. I'm going to try again. Hello, welcome to a first video of a new playlist called Programming from A to Z. And this playlist is going to be, it will be as I make it, a lot of videos that are going to follow this, it's a syllabus, course that I'm teaching at a program called ITP at Tisch School of the Arts, New York University, called Programming from A to Z. And in this video, if you're really just interested in the technical content, you can just skip ahead and stop watching this video. But in this video, I want to just kind of talk about where the ideas for this course came from, some of my inspiration for putting the material together for this course, and what my goals for it are. So what, and kind of like what do you need to have in advance before you start watching this sequence? And I will mention that a lot of the videos that I make, I intend for them to be kind of standalone videos that could be placed, that you could kind of come to on their own, but I'm going to sequence them in a way that'll give you a little bit of a narrative over the course of this fall. It is September or something, 2016. That's when this video is being recorded, but maybe you are an alien robot of the future watching it and wondering about this strange Earth species on the internet, if the internet still exists. Anyway, okay, so let me talk a little bit about where the ideas for this course came from. So I think this was probably at least 10 years ago, if not more. I was at the University of Pennsylvania sitting in on a poetry class. You might wonder, why was I sitting in on a poetry class? That's a story for another day. But someone named Nick Montfort was giving a presentation. Nick Montfort is a poet and artist and professor, author, who has a recent book out actually called Exploratory Programming. I don't see it on his website. It's a wonderful book that I've been actually reading as a resource for this course as well. And Nick was giving a presentation to this poetry class about computational techniques in writing. And I mean, it was more sophisticated and interesting than that, but I'll loosely say that it was for an audience of people who are not necessarily familiar with programming and algorithms, but are poets and writers, and looking at historical examples and new techniques in writing using computational methods. And at the time, I was kind of a recent ITP graduate, I think, or current ITP student. I don't remember. And I thought, this is interesting. So much of my time, this was early in the days of processing, so much of my time is spent thinking about programming for motion and animation, and I hadn't really considered this idea of programming for text. Reading a program that reads text in, a program that generates text out. And so at the time, I actually decided to work on some materials for a course called Programming from A to Z. And strangely enough, I taught this course in Java, which was in many ways a kind of horrifically terrible idea, but Java was a programming language that I was learning and familiar with at the time. It also is the basis of the creative coding environment processing, and so I was aligning some stuff between those two environments. And so I taught this course, and I believe this was like 2006 or 7 or something like that. I could look it up. If someone resourceful on the internet could find the old syllabus for it, probably. And so a lot of the ideas for this course came out of this presentation that I saw from Nick Montfort. Now, interestingly enough, at the time, Allison Parrish was a student at ITP. I believe she was actually a student in this class. And when she graduated from ITP, I talked with her, I don't remember exactly how this, about starting a new class at ITP called, and which she came up with, called Reading and Writing Electronic Text. So Allison Parrish is a huge inspiration for this course as well. If you're not familiar with her work, with generative text and performance and Twitter bots and a lot of things you should be familiar with. And so Allison teaches a course taught with Python called Reading and Writing Electronic Text. A lot of the materials can be found on her website. So Allison really took a lot of the ideas from programming from A to Z and made a much better and more interesting course using a much more appropriate programming language and environment, Python, to working with text. The focus of her course, however, is really not about, I would say, I mean, I could be wrong about this, but just to make the argument for argument's sake, about really focusing on poetry, generative text, generative poetry, about the sort of core text in, text output, not necessarily about interactive systems as related to text, not about server-side programming, client-side programming, things that happen in the browser. So what I decided to do was recently, after she had started this course at ITP, was to revive programming from A to Z. And so now the course is once again back, and it's all about programming with text, text in, text out, but with, I would say, an appropriate language, meaning JavaScript. Sure, a lot of innovative and new work with data analysis and text is happening in Python, and there are tons of natural language processing libraries and data libraries for Python. But if you want to make things happen in the web browser, where users can enter text, receive text back, participate in an interactive system, JavaScript is a language that is useful to make all this stuff happen in the web browser. So, so this is really where the ideas for the course came from. Now, I am going to just briefly now, so that's kind of a bit of, much more long-winded than I had hoped, but a bit about where some of the ideas for the course came from. Now, I want to talk, the next thing I want to talk about is my goals for the course. And just so I'm not, so I'm standing somewhere different with a little visual variety here, I have a couple fundamental goals. One is programming and algorithms. In particular programming, I'm talking about JavaScript here. So if you are a beginner JavaScript programmer, if you maybe just took a single course in P5.js, you know a little bit about JavaScript, this is a course where you can improve and expand your knowledge. I want to talk about things like, what's this prototype thing? What's the this keyword? What's a closure? What's an anonymous function? All of these kind of aspects to JavaScript programming that you might not find in an introductory creative coding course. So I want part of the course to be able to augment programming skills. But I want that thing not just to be for the sake of programming itself, but to have a kind of conceptual basis, a creative output for you. And this is the other aspect of the course. So I want you to think, creative, new ways to think about computational, am I really writing this down? I am really writing this down. Computational output, and specifically text-based output. Oh, and input. Right, so maybe you've taken a computer science course or some other JavaScript course, and the focus is on web development for professional work. For getting a job at a startup, or maybe the course is about algorithms so you can figure out the absolute fastest way to sort a list of numbers. These are not, there are aspects to those ideas that might be in a course like this, but my goal is really for you to discover new and creative ideas and generate creative projects, playful, useless experiments from this course. Because I believe, I know that number one, making art and playful experiments is an enjoyable way of interfacing with the world and can bring meaning to people's lives. But also I think practical tools and new discoveries come out of useless, impractical explorations. So that's kind of a goal for this course, to augment skills and kind of inspire your creativity. Okay, so back to over here, I want to briefly run you over what the topics will be as I go over them from week to week. This week, I'm just going to kind of introduce ideas for the course. I am asking the students of the course to use GitHub Pages as a way of publishing their work, although it's certainly not required. I want to look at DOM manipulation in P5.js and kind of compare that to other DOM manipulation frameworks and libraries you might think of. I want to do a tutorial about just the string object in JavaScript. And then I want to look at how you get text input from a user in the browser via a text box, uploading a file, and I'm going to do a couple coding challenges around making a web page that generates kind of found random poetry. And I'll talk about an assignment for you guys to do. That's what's going to happen today. Regular expressions, I'm so excited. This is like my favorite topic ever because I'm like a complete loser. No. If you love regular expressions, I am a loser. You watching this are clearly not one. Loser is such a terrible word. I sound like, I hate that word. Nobody. Anyway, edit this part out. And where's my, okay. Regular expressions is a topic that I love. It's an amazing tool, puzzle, exciting, crazy programming language kind of unto itself thing that allows you to manipulate and do wonderful things with text. I want to look at how you can get text from data sources, different APIs. I want to look at WordNick. I think I've looked at WordNick in other video tutorials, but I want to look at it more deeply. I want to look at how you can get users to fill out a Google spreadsheet and use that as the input to your program. Server-side programming is a priority for me. So there's a lot of things that make sense to do with only client-side programming in P5.js, but I want to look at Node, in particular Twitter bots. Fortunately, I have a whole set of video tutorials already made about Twitter bots, so we'll see what I can add to that for this week. And then I kind of want to run you through the classics. So my goal and hope for you is new and creative ideas in text analysis and text generation, but I want to look at how some of these kind of classic text generation and analysis algorithms work. So word counting is kind of the fundamental building block to all text analysis. So I want to look at a word counting program, TF-IDF, which is like a fancy term for figuring out how to glean keywords from a text based on word counting. I might look at Bayesian analysis if I can get the courage for Bayesian analysis. Also there are a lot of node packages that'll do a lot of this stuff for you that I'll examine. Text generation, I want to build a Markov chain from scratch. I'll talk more about what that is, but a probability-based system for generating text. I want to look at grammars. There's a wonderful thing that I'll just mention if you're not familiar with, another work that I find really inspirational, tracery by tracery. By the way, that should not say tracery by tracery. Somebody pull request fix this. It should say by Galaxy Kate. So Galaxy Kate, Kate Compton on GitHub and galaxykate.com is a wonderful artist, programmer, person who has built a story generation library for JavaScript called Tracery, which I'll examine later as a tutorial. Maybe as I start to figure out ways of getting guests, maybe I can invite Kate to appear to talk about Tracery. Where is I? Back here. And then look at code for building something called a context-free grammar. So language, the term grammar might be familiar to you. Programming languages have a grammar, right? Function name followed by parentheses, followed by a bunch of arguments separated by commas. If you're missing a comma, that's a grammatical error, a syntax error. So rather than looking at language and seeing how it fits into a grammar, if you can design a grammar and generate language from that, what kind of results do you get? And then also I want to make sure I look at Chrome, make some tutorials on Chrome extensions. I'm going to show you one of my favorite artists, Addie Wagenknecht. Addie Wagenknecht is a wonderful artist who makes amazing work that you should become familiar with, and she made a Chrome extension called Girls versus Git. I'm going to just pull this up here, and you can see some of the things, some of the features that it does. Every username on GitHub is replaced with a generic female username. Every gravatar is replaced with a gravatar of a woman or a female type image. So this is something that you can do with a Chrome extension. You can have control over a user's browser and their browsing experience to kind of experiment with strange and alternate ways of viewing the universe of the web and experiencing. Obviously, this can be used for productivity tools, and you probably have Chrome extensions for things like Pocket, which allows you to save you all your links. But what kind of strange ways can you do if you take everybody's every time a noun is on a web page and replace it with a food item? This came from an idea that somebody had in class. So you're just reading web pages to make yourself hungry all the time. So creative ideas working with Chrome extensions is something that I want to pursue. So this is kind of the trajectory of the course. goals for the course, trajectory of the course, and after this video is done, I'm going to make the first few videos for this first week on some of the material. Now, here's something I will mention to you. You people of the internet can simply just find these videos on YouTube. You can write in the YouTube comments if you have questions, and I try to answer them when I have time, and other people answer them as well. And I hope you will enjoy and watch them. If you want to participate in this course in a slightly augmented way, I will point you to patreon.com/codingrainbow or codingrainbow.com. You can subscribe to my Patreon feed, which is a crowdfunding system. And with that, you will get an invitation to a Slack channel where you can ask questions about the course and post your work and assignments, and have a sort of peer group of people discussing and giving you feedback. So if you're interested, this is an experiment I'm trying. I'm teaching the physical class for ITP students at New York University. I'm teaching an online version of this class for free on YouTube. It is ad supported. There will be ads for these videos. I'm mixed feelings about that, but I'm doing that right now for a little bit of revenue. There's expenses associated with making this and time. And then I am also experimenting with the crowdfunding platform to allow people a certain additional form of interaction. So my kind of philosophy on online education right now is free content, paid interaction, and but mostly I'm doing this because I enjoy it, and I enjoy discovering a new audience and bringing new ideas and doing weird dancing from time to time and ringing my bell and all sorts of weirdness. So, so thanks for watching this introduction. I'm sure there are lots of things that I missed saying. I thought of something. I wanted to mention two other, I'm going to link to all of these things in the description of this video. I wanted to mention two other big inspirations. One is Lynn Cherney, who does a lot of work with data analysis and presentations, and another is Darius Kazemi, also known as Tiny Subversions, who is an internet artist, prolific creator of incredibly strange and interesting Twitter bots. Basically, you know, I have to admit something. I am not really a Twitter bot maker. I am a person who makes how to make Twitter bot tutorials. And so if you're looking for inspiration and ideas and other types of materials, Darius is great. And I want to point out both Lynn Cherney and Darius Kazemi have 2016 talks from the IO Festival in Minneapolis. So I would recommend you find those. All of these are great, but if I go here to see all, I can find Darius. Whoops, actually, okay. Anyway, you can find them. I'll link to them in the description. But both of those are highly relevant. Lynn Cherney's talk and Darius Kazemi's talk from I.O. as kind of starter material to get you thinking about ideas of things you might want to make if you're following along with this course. Okay, thank you for watching. And stay tuned. And in the next video, I'll be showing you some other stuff. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye. Okay. Hopefully that was fine. That was my introduction. I don't know how long that was. I've been going for about 40 minutes so far. So the live stream archive is obviously going to have additional stuff that I don't think of in those videos. I'm going to look at my list right now for today. I think that's okay that I missed kind of some of these things. Okay, so I hit everything. So the next piece. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and experiment here. I think that I'm not, so then if I were just teaching a course and there was no such thing as video on the internet, thank you, Mathieu, for keeping track of it. No, Lynn Moy, this is not over. Just that short video snippet is over, and I am going to continue and make more video snippets. I'm going to be here for probably another 1.5 to 2 hours. Okay, I don't know what is going on in the chat. Now I have to stop looking at it. So here's the next thing. If I were introducing technical topics and things that you need for your homework for this week, if you're following this on as a course like you're going to do homework, the next thing I would do is say, hey, let me just talk about GitHub Pages for you. But since I have already made video tutorials about GitHub Pages, I think I'm just going to slot those into the playlist. So obviously, not obviously, I shouldn't say obviously. So let me, for those of you watching live, let me at least pull that up. And Mathieu, I think this makes sense. Mathieu, who helps me with organizing the playlist. I'm going to go to YouTube/Schiffman. And look, I'm live right now. And I am going to find you this particular playlist. So this is a full playlist about working with Git and GitHub, I don't think it makes sense to bring this entire playlist into the A to Z playlist because that's way too much, but it could be referenced. But it might make sense. The next piece would just be to have, is there not a 1.9? Oh, no, yeah, okay. Maybe these two videos. GitHub pages, the basics of GitHub pages, and GitHub pages for hosting P5.js sketches, because that's ultimately what I'm going to be doing. So that's the next material. So, if you're watching this as an archive, stop and go and, you don't have to, but you can stop and go and watch these two videos and then come back to this live stream archive. If you're not watching this as an archive, then you're not watching this as an archive. But I think these will make sense in the playlist. So that's good. So the next thing that I want to talk about is, DOM manipulation. Now this is another tricky one. So I think maybe I should do, I could do a part 2 video, which is just kind of overview, quick overview. I think this makes sense of DOM manipulation in the context of this course. Camera went off. I'm really at a loss here. So, you know what? I think I'm going to err on the side of only making of not rehashing things that I've already made videos about, because there's limited time and I think I can get more benefit from the new content. So I'm just going to point out now, I'm going to go back to my playlists, and I'm going to find this playlist. So this is tricky because this is all relevant. But I think what I might do is, So, okay, so I don't know how to best manage this, but I'm just going to keep going. If I were actually teaching this as a course online, which is what I'm doing, I'm going to tell you that the next step that you want to have some familiarity with is what is P5.js, and what is HTML, what is CSS, and how does DOM manipulation work in P5.js. And honestly, the place that you could look for this is right here on this web page, which kind of has an introduction to P5.js as a library, basic what is HTML, what is CSS video tutorials, as well as some DOM manipulation examples, and a link to the DOM manipulation playlist. So that's the next aspect of this that I think is important. Okay, so that's the next thing. I don't know what to add to the A to Z playlist, but I'll figure that out later. And now we are getting to something new. So I need to make some new video tutorials on loading text. The goal, by the way, is to make some of these, to do some of these as coding challenges. So these are examples that I made a year ago. I haven't really looked at them too much, so making the coding challenge will be a bit fresh. And I want to talk about Rita. I want to do something on Rita as well. But I want to do some coding challenges where I create poetry machines as single-page web applications. So what do we need to do those as coding challenges? I need to cover how the string object works in JavaScript, and I need to cover how to load from a text file. Okay. So I'm trying to think of which to do first. I'm going to do text input. Okay. All right. Let me get myself set up here. So let me make a new I want to do a couple things. I want to clone And actually, I'm going to put this in documents. Nope. I want to clone my A to Z F16 repository, so I have those examples if I need to reference. Okay, so, and I'm going to make this shortcut to this here so I can look at the code examples. I want to, then I need to, by the way, I want to start using, I think this will, do I maybe need to do sudo? I want to start using the node HTTP server instead of the Python server, which I think might be a little bit easier. Let's see if this works. So maybe it makes sense for me to do a quick video on my workflow that I'm going to use, which is Atom, and yeah, I think I like this better, 8080. Okay. Okay, so it might make sense for me to do a quick workflow video that exists in this playlist. But let me just get myself set up here. Local host 8080. How come that didn't work? Strange. Huh. Oh, I guess it's like, it just uses a different IP then. Okay. Okay, that's the web server for these examples. And then I need a folder here called A to Z. And then I'm going to call this week 1. And I'm going to put that here. I want to get just a blank. I'm going to do the ridiculous thing, which I'm going to download just to make sure I have the most recent everything. I'm going to get an empty P5JS project. Yeah, I have been using CodePen, and I would like to use it more. CodePen is wonderful. I'm going to call this load text. And okay, let me close a lot of these windows. I can get them back if I need to. I'm singing to myself. Okay. All right. Now here's a question for everybody. I also now want to run another server, and it's, can I specify the port? Hey, that worked. I just guessed. I can't believe well, it makes sense. So I can specify the port, and so I can have local 127.80.80, which is my pre-existing examples, 80,000, which is, oh, what did I get wrong here? Oh, that's crazy. I didn't do it right. All I have to do is, I didn't guess correctly. Just write the port. No. Dash 8,000? No. What did I do wrong? P equals. Okay, thank you. Nope, but how about just dash P? Nope. There we go. That's what I want. And now that's working. Whoa. What is this craziness? Do I have something still running? So actually, sorry everybody. All right. All right, I'm not going to worry about it too much. This is going to be my example. Okay, and now. So now I need to, okay, so what I think that I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a quick short video just about my workflow because I get this question asked a lot. And I think it'll be helpful just to point people to this. So my workflow is Node web server, Atom editor. But I'm going to mention also that there are Atom packages for servers, but I'm just choosing not to use that. I'm going to mention that I'm also using a Beautify plugin for Atom. And I also want to mention that stay tuned because there is soon to be released a web editor for P5.js. Okay. Let me reset the camera here. And I am going to, I just want to erase the whiteboard over here. Okay. Yes, why Atom over Sublime? No big reason other than I saw somebody I really like using Atom and I thought, oh, I should use Atom too. But it is free and Sublime is software, commercial software, which I've purchased the Sublime license because I like to use Sublime and I think you should too. But as much as possible, I like to use free tools in my tutorials. But I also think that people should buy software and support software development. So I don't mean to say that there's anything wrong with charging for software. Okay, here we go. Let me hello, welcome to this video. In this video, I just want to do a short, quick tutorial about my workflow for the tutorial videos that you're about to watch as part of this Programming from A to Z playlist, but also I use this workflow in a lot of my other videos and coding challenges, and I'm sure my workflow will change at some point in the future, but this is relevant for the time period that it's relevant. So let me just come over here and make a short list of some things that I'm using. So one thing is you want to make sure, if you want to use my exact workflow, there are lots of other workflows. You want to install something called node.js. And then you want to install, and I'm going to show you how to do this, a Node package called HTTP server. This runs a little local web server on your computer that hosts the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files that you're programming and working with so that you can see them. You know, of course, you can just double click them and open them in the browser, but if you run an actual web server on your computer, you're going to mirror the real situation when you eventually publish your files to a web server somewhere. So I use those. You also need a text editor to edit your code and edit the JavaScript files, the HTML files, all that sort of stuff. I'm using a text editor called Atom. And with this text editor, I'm using a package called, I think it's called Atom. Links to all these things will be in this video's description, so if I get the name wrong. Atom-Beautify. So that's something that I just like that auto-indents my code and that sort of thing. And then I should also mention that there are a bunch of, I believe there's something called Atom Live Server, and there are other packages in Atom that will run the server for you that you can use instead of HTTP server if you prefer. I should also mention that I'm working with P5.js libraries. So you'll see that all of my projects have a bunch of extra JavaScript files associated with them that come from P5.js and P5.dom.js. And eventually soon, later this month, if you're watching this in September 2016, there will be a web editor that you can use with P5.js for developing sketches and ideas that go along with this course as well. And at some point when that is released, I'll demonstrate that in a video as well. I should also mention that there are lots of other wonderful code editors you can use online. CodePen is one that I've used. It has a wonderful professor mode, which allows you to type code and your students see on their screens the code that you're typing in real time. JS Fiddle, Thimble, I don't know why I can't think of other good ones that I'm forgetting now. So I apologize if you make a wonderful code editor online that I'm not thinking of. So this is the workflow I'm using. Let me demonstrate it for you rather quickly. Here I am over here. OK, so Atom is something you should download from atom.io. I've already downloaded it, so I'm just going to run it here. It is it's already opening something. So when you open it, it'll probably look more like this, an empty thing. I could do Command N, and I have a new file, and I can type stuff into it. So it's just a text editor. Any text editor will do. Yes, install my update, I guess. Oh, what's going to happen? Everything's going to break. No, please work. OK. So this is Atom. That's what it looks like. Packages you can install, you can see here, this is this Beautify package that I'm using, and I'm also using something called Atom key mapping. So I set it to Beautify to be to Command T, which is my preference shortcut. Maybe I could cover that in another video, or a link to how to set up key mappings in Atom in this video's description. And you can also see there, do I have the live server somewhere? A live server here. So you can see this is a live server package, which will also start a live server you can install. How do you install Atom packages? I forget. Window, I was going to say preferences. Packages, yes. So, and maybe I could timeout, pause. Oh yes, no, never mind. Keep going. Install. So here's a place that you can search for packages or find featured packages to install and add things to Atom. Okay. So now the other thing you want to install is Node, which you can find at node.js.org. You can download and install Node, and then from terminal, you can. From terminal, you can use something called npm, which stands for Node Package Manager. And you want to type npm http-server. This is installing the web server that I'm using, but you can't just install http-server. You need to say -g for global, meaning you're making this a global package, which means you can just access it. Instead of being a package that's for one project, it's just accessible on your computer until the end of time, basically, or until you uninstall Node. And if you do that, you also probably want to say sudo, because you might need sudo as a way of saying, I'm the administrator of this computer. I have permission to install something globally. And if I hit enter, it's going to ask me for my password. And then I already installed it, so I don't know what just happened there. But I said the wrong command entirely. Hope you're not. npm install http server. And now it's going to install it. So it's installing it. And once I've done that, I'm running a web server in a bunch of other directories. So I'm going to stop that. I can just, anywhere I am on the computer, I can just say http-server, and I can run a web server. Now, where do you want to run the web server from? Probably from a directory where you have a project that you're working on, like I have this load text project. I can cd to that directory. I can say http server, and then I can go to the browser with this particular URL, which is just the local host of my computer, 127.0.0.1:8080. And I can go back to the browser, and I can paste that URL in, and you can see, refresh. There's the project. It was, you can see there's nothing there because there's no code in that project. But if I were to add some code to that project, you would see this project displayed in the page. Now, one other thing I think that I thought of that I wanted to mention about this, which I've now completely forgotten. Oh yes, if you don't like port 8080, you can also, one thing I'll mention to you is you can say http-server -p, and I can make up a port like, what's my favorite number? 1234. Maybe I should, higher port numbers are better that you don't mess up something that's already running on your computer. So I'm going to say 8081. And you can see now I'm running that same server on 8081. So you can't run multiple web servers on the same port, but if you need to run multiple web servers on the same time, you can use different ports. Okay, so that's a quick just little ditty. on my workflow. I'm sure I missed something or you have questions about it, which you can ask in the comments. And now you're ready to go and watch the video tutorials where I actually make some stuff using this workflow. OK, thanks. OK, so I got that out of the way. Hopefully that's useful for people. I don't see anything in the chat like you're not making any sense or that was terrible or please stop. So I'm going to keep going. And I'm now going to actually get myself set up again. So let me run. I'm used to 8,000. So I'm going to do 1 on 8,000, which are the pre-existing examples. And then I'm going to do 8,001. Oh, I need a tissue. So 8,000. OK, and then 8,001. Load text. Atom node. Close. And then now what I want to do is open that load text example. Actually, just open A to Z here. Whoops, I'm not an atom. Open A to Z. I don't know what this is. Add just a little HTML so that I see that stuff is there. Whoops. And make sure I have p5.dom. OK, so here we go. We are ready now. Gimlerful asked to be greeted, and then message got deleted. OK, good work, moderators. Please make a basic style sheet for your index.html. I will do that at some point. It is not really necessary right now, not the focus of what I'm looking at. But Alval, you're asking about open processing. It's a great project that allows people to post and host sketches online. I think it's a wonderful project. Sinan is an ITP alum who's got a lot of energy. Encourage you to support it and use it, sure. OK, so now, how are we doing time-wise? I'm recycling the cameras. I am going to erase this over here. So this first video, I'm going to look at how you load text from a user. And I need two things. So actually, before I do this video, I need to use some sample text. And Rainbow, Wikipedia. So let's see. What's a good way for me to just copy-paste a lot of text here? Let's see. Ooh, so much interesting text here. Double rainbows. The Wikipedia page on rainbows is amazing. OK. Copy-paste this. Actually, I'm going to... I think this is too much text, so I'm just going to do like a few first paragraphs to here. OK, actually, let's go a little further. I don't want the math stuff, so I'm going to stop here. OK, copy, text edit, paste, make plain text. OK, so now I have, oops, I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to save this as, rainbow.txt. Week 1, load text, save. And now I can also see it here. So I think this should be OK. You know what I think I want? I think I want how do I turn text wrapping on in, and not wrapping as in, because I'm not going to attempt to rap because it'll be the worst thing you've ever heard in your life, but wrapping W-R-A-T, soft wrap. Let's turn that on. And there we go. A little bit, okay. Great. Ooh. Oh, let me just do a little cleanup here. I don't know why that happened. And all right, I'm not going to obsess about this too. Moon bows. Ooh, what's a moon bow? That's exciting. Okay. Here. Okay, here we go. So now I have some sample text to load. Great. Okay. Here we go. I will actually, in this tutorial, I am going to need to add a CSS file. Okay, here we go. Everybody, right? Let's see. I want to see what time it is. It's 11:30. I'm doing pretty well still. I basically have 3 video tutorials I want to make before I leave now. Loading text from a user, basics of the string object in JavaScript, and coding challenge to do cut-ups, Diastic, generative poetry stuff in a single web page app. So those are the 3 things I'm going to do. Okay, here we go. Hello, welcome to another Programming from A to Z course video. This video, I'm going to look at a feature of, well, really a feature of the world, the web, the browser, and look at, in the context of P5.js and JavaScript, how do you get text input from a user? So first I just want to talk you through, over here, what the 3 or 4 methodologies I'm going to use. So number 1 is, if you want to get text input from the user, you can use something called an input element. So an input element is a little box that appears in a browser window where you could say, in a web form, you might say like name, and then you write your name in here. You could also use something called a text area. And a text area is the same idea, it's just bigger and it's usually resizable. The user can kind of drag this corner around for a longer bit of text entry. So if you want the user to type in a paragraph of text and use that in your program, you can use a text area. And then you could also ask the user to submit, or you could simply load. There's so many other ways that I'm not going to get to, because you could use APIs and crawl the web and scrape it, and we'll get to that stuff later in a future video. But what I'm thinking about right now is you could also get input from a text file itself. And you could use, for that, you could use the load strings method in P5.js, where you could simply just reference an actual text file that you have as in your sort of directory of files. And you could also, ask the user to upload a file. Sorry, there's going to be an edit point in this video. Thank you, Mathieu, for editing this, my coughing fit out. You could also use a file input. If you've ever seen in a web browser, you have a little button that says like choose file, and you can actually create that with a P5.js function, I think, called create file input. And I'll show you how to use that as well. And finally, you could create a div, a sort of area, a box of stuff on your screen that you could, in the browser itself, that you could drag a text file over. And I actually have a separate video tutorial that just goes over that, which I might just reference rather than include it in this video tutorial. So I'm going to go through all of these, and then you can also look at the draggable area video, and you'll see these as possible ways of getting text input, because what I'm going to do is say, hey, user, submit some text, and I'm going to generate a poem from that text for you. So that's kind of the ultimate goal that I'm going to do a couple videos from now. OK, so let me come over here. And let's see. So first of all, I'm going to start to implement some of this stuff and go over how these functions work. OK, so this is my code so far. Oh, yes, no, I'm still in the same video. I forgot. Everybody take a deep breath. I need some like calming sound. That's not calming sound, but I need some more Zen sound effects. OK, so this is my code so far. One of the things you'll notice in all of the examples that I'm, not all, but many of the examples that I'm publishing is that even though I'm using the P5JS style, methodology, structure of, there's a setup function, which is kind of like the page's loaded function. There's a draw function, which runs this continuous loop. I actually am calling a function called noCanvas, meaning that there is no drawing canvas associated with this program that I am writing. I am simply writing a program to mess with the web page, other elements other than the canvas, paragraphs, headers, that sort of thing. So if I were to look at the output of this page, which is over here, you can see all there is a header that says welcome to A to Z week 1. Now where is that coming from? One thing I'll notice, nowhere in my code do I say, hey, display that on the page. That's because I actually have that simply hard-coded into the HTML file associated with this itself. So this is something that I'm going to touch on in this example and future examples is, when should I put something in the HTML file? When should I put something in the JavaScript file? And there's no real answers to this question. It's sort of case-by-case basis and personal style, that sort of thing. OK, but what I want to do first is just simply show you how can I create text input on the page. And I'm going to do that by saying create input. And now I'm going to run this code. Look at that. And there it is. There's a place where I can type some text on the page. Wonderful. And yes, OK. So just time out for a second. Sorry, I need a short break. I kind of have like lost my train of thought looking at the chat. Somebody in the chat says they have to pee. I will probably have to do that at some point. Sorry. I try to minimize the amount of edit stuff that I'm added to do, but this will get edited. So I'm just trying to think to myself of what order I'm going in. OK. OK, great. OK, so with this text input box, I could do a number of things. Number one is I might ask the user to enter in. I was going to talk about the Mad Libs. Sorry, you guys. I kind of just like lost my. Boy, I'm really I'm having some green screen noise today. It's probably because that light is burnt out. But c'est la vie. OK. Once the user has typed in some text, I might want to access that text in my program. So let's look at how I might do that. So first of all, this input text box that I've created on the screen, I need to store a reference to it in a variable. So I'm going to create a variable like input. I'm going to say input equals create input. And by the way, I'm actually going to take out the draw loop. There's no reason for P5 to be continuously looping right now because I'm not using that aspect of P5, which I might later, but there's no canvas, there's no animation. And so what I now want to do is I want to have access to that stuff that's in the text box. Now, when do I want to have access to it? I could have access to it in a draw loop by saying input.value. I'm going to skip that for right now. What I'm going to show you, though, is I'm going to open up the Chrome Developer Tools here to make this a little bit bigger. So let's say I type rainbow into there, and then I type input.value. You can see this. By referencing the variable .value, I have the text that's in there. So anywhere in my code, I can simply reference that text box .value, and I know what the user has typed. Rainbow, yay! Now, I might want to know what they type only when they hit enter. So the way that I can do that, and I've done something rather horrific. Well, actually, no, I haven't done it horrific yet. I'll show you later. I'll fix this later. So All DOM elements, the text input box being a DOM element, have events associated with them. When I click on it, it's an event. When I hover my mouse over it, it's an event. There is an event called changed, and there's a P5 DOM library function called changed, which allows me to execute a function when that event has been triggered. So I can say input.changed new text, which means I can just write a function called new text, and I can say console.log input.value. So what I'm saying is whenever the input box has changed, meaning the user has hit enter, I want to see the results of that in the console. So now if I go back and refresh this page and I type in rainbow and hit enter, we can see here, I have rainbow here. If I type in unicorn and hit enter, we can see I have unicorn there. So now I am accessing the content whenever the user types enter, and I might do something like, say, create p input.value. Create p makes a paragraph element on the page, so now I can say unicorn, and I can say rainbow, and I can say swirly happiness, right? And I'm getting all of those things as paragraph elements on the page. Now, here's a question for you. What if I want to know every time the user types a key, not just when they hit enter, but anytime anything changes in that text box itself? This event is not the changed event, and this is where I've done something which I really don't like, which is that the name for that event is actually input, which is a little bit of, so technically what I need to say is something like this, but I sort of hate how I've named the variable input, and then there's also an input, so I want to rename that variable. So I'm going to just call that text field or something, and that way we can have less confusing there. I can make this a little more clear. So what I'm going to do now is say function new typing, and I'm going to say, I'm also going to do create p. So let's comment out let's just for the moment comment out the changed event and only have the input event. So now watch what happens. unicorn. Anytime I type anything, I'm getting an event, and I'm kind of continuously making new paragraph elements for every keystroke that I type. So maybe what I want to do instead, just as an exercise here to do something different, is to, what if I had a single paragraph element that I altered the content of every time I typed a key? So here's where this, like, in Shakespeare, Hamlet, there's an essential question: to be or not to be? And I have a different question for you today. And my question for you, I shouldn't be erasing all this because it's a nice reference for later, but it's too late. To select or not to select. Or maybe it's just to create or not to create. To select or to create. What I'm saying to you is, when do I want something on my web page to appear based on code I write? I'm creating a new DOM element, and now it's being appended to the page. Or versus, when do I want to have something that exists on the page that I access in my code, exists in the raw HTML that I access in my code and manipulate? And here's a case where I'm going to demonstrate to you that what I want to do is I am going to, in the HTML file itself, I am going to add a paragraph element, and I'm going to give it an ID, and I'm going to call it output, right? I'm going to call it output, and you can see that it is empty. And what I want to do, instead of saying create p in my code, instead of creating the paragraph element, I want to select this paragraph element. I want to access it so that as the user types, I want to update what's in it with the word, with the keys that they're typing. So let's do that right now. So how I do that in the code is, so I'm going to leave that in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a variable called output, and I'm going to say output equals select And then I'm going to use its ID, and the indicator for an ID is the pound or hash symbol. Select output. I think that's what the ID I gave it. And then here, now what I want to do is in new typing, I'm going to say output.html. The HTML function in the P5 DOM library is a function you can call to access the existing content of a DOM element or place content in it. And what I want to do is I want to take what's currently in the text field and I want to put that in that paragraph element. So let's look and see if this works now. And so as I'm typing, cannot read property HTML of null. So I've made some sort of mistake here. Select, you know what? I wonder if by, I wonder if it uses, wait, what did I actually, let's double check. What did I make its ID? I made its ID output. So let's just try some stuff in the console here to debug this. I think I know what the problem is. Okay, timeout. I have to debug this. Yes, so somebody in the chat is saying document.getElementById, which is absolutely correct. But that's using native JavaScript, and I'm kind of leading on the P5.js DOM library. So let me look this up. I also need to get a drink of water. Why did I, look, oh my, here's my video tutorial. I know what I'll do. To figure this out, I'm going to watch this video tutorial about select and select all. Where's the reference? This is interesting. This is not what I want to do. Did I like this example? Referent libraries, P5 DOM, select. Yeah. So what did I do wrong here? HTML file is not saved. That's quite possible. I'm going to stop that annoying typing sound. Sorry, everybody. What went wrong here? Oh, that was it. Thank you very much, everybody, for my... Yeah. The HTML, this is what I meant to do. The HTML file wasn't saved. Okay, that did the trick. Let's refresh this page. Okay. My pants are falling down. You would never know that because to the internet, I only exist from here up. But in my new and upcoming Coding Rainbow promotional music video thing, you will see that I am not a centaur. Okay, I got to get back into this video. Okay, so here I am back, and if you were wondering what was wrong, I forgot to hit Command S in my index.html file, meaning it wasn't saved. So now that I've saved it, the code works as expected, or as I wanted it to, which is I can say hello every time any character that I type here. You can see that that paragraph element is being updated. And now when I hit enter, you can see that I am also saving that with, so I have two events that I'm tracking, each key being pressed and enter being pressed. Now, a couple other things I want to mention. One is if you want to have this pre-filled in with some text, then one thing you can do is you can, in this create input function, you can say this, like enter your favorite food or something, or just say like your favorite food, right? And I could then say, blueberries, because I love blueberries. I love blueberries. Okay, and they make me so happy. Oh, I wish I had a bowl of blueberries right now, and I could just do this sort of weird internet thing where I eat blueberries on the internet. Okay, so you could see that you can have some pre-filled text in there. I could also make this a text area instead. So what I want to do actually right now is I'm going to show. Number one is I'm going to show you two things at once. Whereas, first of all, instead of saying create input, I could have actually just put an input element in the HTML file and use select to access it. You can try doing that as an exercise for yourself. And what I'm going to do in this video is change this. I'm going to actually add a text area, and I'm going to give it an ID, which is I'm going to call it text field. I'm going to say text area. And you can see now if I refresh this, you can see there's now a text area that I can expand over here. So if I wanted to type a paragraph in here, and I could also actually precede it with some text, please type a story. And you can see now it says please type a story there. And what I'm going to do is in the code, I'm going to comment this out. Instead of creating the input, I'm going to say text field equals select, and text, and the ID is text field. So I could probably think of better. Blueberry, I'm going to call it Blueberry. And I'm going to go back to the HTML, and I'm going to say, give it an ID Blueberry, and I'm going to say, tell me about how much you love blueberries. So that's in there. You can see that's in there. And now you can see this same program works. The only thing is that event enter is no longer relevant. So in this case, I should probably create, let's do this. I'm going to go to I'm going to actually just create a button element, and I'm going to say submit. And I'm going to give that an ID, which is submit. And then I'm going to go to my code, and I'm going to say var submit. And I'm going to say submit equals select, submit. And by the way, I'm doing a terrible job. I'm single quotes, double quotes everywhere. All of you can argue on the internet, single versus double quotes. I'm just going to use them both. I don't care. And I'm going to say submit dot mouse pressed. Which is an event new, and I'm going to say new text. So when you click the submit button, I'm going to call the new text event, which will create that new paragraph. So mouse pressed is an event for when you click on a button. So I should be able to do this, and you can see da 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 da, and I can hit submit, and I get this is how much I love blueberries. Okay. So, oh, it did it twice. Why did it do it twice? Mouse press. Oh, because I have the. Oh, interesting. Oh, maybe when I hit tab or something, I have this. No. Oh yeah, text field change. So that event is still in there. Maybe it's somehow figured out. I don't know. I don't know why that happened. Yeah, by the way, someone needs to write a command S for save song. Okay, anyway, I finished with this video. Okay, so this is the end. By the way, here's a little exercise, technical exercise for you to do. And I'm going to show you how to do this as I make some video tutorials about how to manipulate strings. But basically, the next thing you should think about is how can you, instead of just reproducing the exact text that is in the text area or text input box right there on the page, how could you manipulate that text? So how could you show the user back what they've typed, but reverse the order of the characters, or reverse the order of the words, or replace certain words with their synonym? I mean, that's, connecting to an API or something. So you can come up with some clever idea. This is a kind of a technical exercise that you could try. Okay, thanks for watching this video about how to get text input from the user using an input field or a text area. In the next video, I'm going to actually show you how to load from a file using load strings or the create file input. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay. Because I lost focus to the element and the content in the element changed. I think that is correct. Muhammad in the chat writes, the on change or the changed event triggered because you lose focus to the element. So whenever I click out of the text area or something and click to the submit box, it triggers that event. So I'm a little bit crazed here, but hopefully that was useful to you. Time-wise, how are we doing? I want to get to my Diastic coding challenge. I'm looking for the time, which is not over there, 11:50. Okay, I've got at least another hour in me. Okay, so Alvaro in the chat asked, please compare loading text file with no server. I believe that's what I'm going to do right now. So I think what I'm going to look at load strings. Okay, so let me get myself set up for that. And I'm going to week 1. So I'm going to change the name of this to O1 text input. And I'm going to call the next one O2 load file. Okay, so sorry, I have to go back to here. This is what I just did. Hold on, I want to just fix something about this. Oh, whoops, I did something. I did something weird here. I think this is still right. What I wanted to do, sorry, is just, I want to put the output above. And I want to put this in a paragraph. Just want to make the web page look a little nicer. Not that it, and make sure this works. So when I release this code, okay, great. So now what I want to do is go to the next example. And the other thing I want to do is, in here I want to say text input from user. And the next example, I think it's save, yes. I did it again. I shouldn't rename the folder. And the next example, I want to say, actually I want to get rid of all this stuff. One thing I should say, by the way, is of course you could do this with jQuery, native JavaScript, all sorts of other ways of manipulating DOM elements. If anybody's interested in like porting my examples to using other frameworks so people could compare and contrast, that's great. I'm using p5.dom because it's a really simple, quick, and accessible way to get up and running with DOM manipulation, and it's part of the Processing Foundation, which is a P5JS, which is a project that I work on and like to support. Okay. Okay, I wonder how many people are watching this right now, by the way. 105, that's pretty great. Hello, 105 people of the internet. I just got to dive in here. Yeah, so by the way, I did a setting on YouTube that as soon as a live stream ends, it immediately makes the video unlisted because I don't usually like to have it published then as an archive until I've been able to like clean it up or fix some stuff. You know, once I had like a password in it and or something and got that out. So, anyway, so that's why the archive is not there, but it'll be at some point later today. We'll get an archive of today up there, and it'll probably be a new video because I'll have to stitch these two streams together. But I am recording to disk, and I am streaming, and everything seems to be working. So hopefully this is going to not freeze again. I sent a report to, I don't know whether it's Wirecast or my computer or what, but here we go. Okay, so let me just see. I think I have a little bit of a cold, by the way. Okay. So I am ready now. Okay. The printer cable blackout. Yes, I like that some of you mentioned that. Okay. Let me get the chat visible for myself again. And here we go. All right. I don't know why I like having this little background instrumental at the beginning of the video. It makes me feel like I'm doing something here. All right. Here we go, everybody. Hello, welcome to another Programming from A to Z video tutorial. And in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to load text from a file. into your web page, and I'm going to use that for a lot of other examples and things that I'm going to do in later videos. So I'm using the P5.js framework. So first of all, let me just show you something that I have here. I have a text file as part of my folder along with the index.html and the sketch.js file. Obviously, I could have subdirectories and do various things like that. And this text file simply has a bunch of paragraphs of text from the Wikipedia page on Rainbow, the Rainbow Wikipedia page. So the very first thing I can do that really makes it easy to load text is that I can write a function called preload. And the preload function is actually an event that happens before setup is called. So one of the goofy things about JavaScript is everything happens in this quote-unquote asynchronous manner, meaning you start loading a file, then you start doing something else, and you start doing something else, and you try to do something that uses the file, but maybe it's not loaded yet. And in a moment, I'm going to show you how to sequence this sort of stuff, and maybe later I'll even show you more sophisticated ways to sequence this stuff. But right now, the easiest way is P5.js says, hey, if you don't want to worry about all of that, you can simply say load strings rainbow.txt into a global variable called txt that I've made up. As long as I put that in preload, by the time I get to setup and I can do stuff to the DOM of the page, I know that that text will be loaded. And so what I'm going to do here is just add in here console.log txt so we can see what is it that's coming out of the file, which might be something that you don't expect. So I'm going to do this, and you can see here it is. Now, weirdly enough, you can see like, hey, why is there this bracket there before there's a quote? There seems to be some sort of, and then there's like this here, and then there's a comma and another quote. There seems to be some sort of array here. So let me do something to this file. I'm going to go to rainbow.txt, and I'm going to say rainbow, unicorn, blueberry. You know what's good too is mango. Who doesn't love mangoes? Okay, so I'm going to change the text file to just have 4 lines in it, and I'm going to refresh this page, and now you can see more clearly what's happening. So one of the things that load strings does for you, which is often very convenient, but not always so convenient, is that it gives you a body of text as an array, each element being the array, being each line of text in the file. So if you have some sort of like, this can be very convenient if you have a text file of words. Like you might have a text file of words you're searching for, and suddenly you have them all in an array when you load that text file. That can be very convenient. In our case here, maybe what I want to do, and I'm going to undo all this so I have my rainbow text back. Maybe what I want to do is just put all this text onto the web page. And so I might want to say in my code, create P, like make a paragraph with that text. Now let's see what happens. Weirdly enough, sometimes you just kind of love JavaScript and libraries like P5.js. It like figured out something to do. It took the array and it just like made a paragraph out of all the things in the array. And I think it actually got everything. But another thing that I could do is I could use a function called join, which takes all the elements of the array and joins them together. And I could actually join them with a BR tag in between them. So you can see now if I say join everything in that array and put a BR tag, and I think I'm probably supposed to type it like this as a self-closing tag. Then what you'll see here, if I refresh it, is now I actually am maintaining the line breaks from that file in terms of rendering the stuff from that text file on the web page. So this is a very quick and easy way to pull in a text file and display that on the page. So I'm going to use this in later examples. You could think of things you might want to do, like chop up the text file, count all the words in it, analyze it, that sort of thing, load multiple text files. You could call load strings multiple times. But there's 2 more things I need to show you in this video. Number 1 is you don't always just want to like load the file in preload. You might want to only load the file when the user clicks a button or something like that. And number 2 is you might want the user to be able to submit an actual text file. And I'm going to show you how to do that as well. Okay. Someone in the chat actually, by the way, asked, how does one do CSV files? So you could actually load a CSV, which is a comma-separated values file, which is like a spreadsheet, so to speak, and then parse it and use split and chop it up via commas, and I might show you how to do that in another video. But there is actually a P5.js function called load table, which knows how to load a CSV file into something called a table object that you can traverse and iterate over as if it's with spreadsheet-like functionality. But that's for another time. Okay. So now, let me get rid of preload. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my HTML file, and I'm going to add a button. And I'm going to call this button, give it an ID called load file, and load rainbow text. And now we can see if I go to the web page, we should see I have a button called load rainbow text. And if I go to the sketch, what I want to do now is first, I want to access that button via its ID. So I select it from the page. Now I have a variable that knows about that button. And then I can say button.mousePressed. And I can reference a function. I can say load. I can write a function called load file. So now I can write that function here. Shoot. Is that coming through? God, I've got to turn that off. Getting phone calls in the middle of these tutorials. Okay, maybe that can be edited out. I don't really care. So now I've written a function called load file, and what I want to do in that function is call load strings on that file name. Here's the issue, though. Now that I'm not using preload, I can no longer just set the result of load strings to a variable. What I need to have now is a callback. So I'm going to say load this text file, and then I'm going to make a function called file loaded. File loaded. And that function, I'm just going to write it up here, is going to be the function that is triggered when the text file is ready. So there's a whole sequence happening here. I press the button on the mouse. Load file happens. I call load strings. When the text is ready, I call file loaded. And what comes in there? Data. I give this function an argument. I'm going to call it data. I could call it text. I could call it anything. And what I can do now is I can say text, text equals data. So what I'm doing is I'm saying when the file is loaded, the argument to this function is filled with the stuff that's in that file. I can set it equal to my global variable, but I actually don't really even need the global variable anymore. It sort of depends what I'm doing here. But what I'm going to do is instead, I'm going to get rid of this global variable, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to put it in here, and I'm going to say data. So I'm going to create that paragraph when the text is ready. So I'm setting up now a sketch. When I run the sketch, nothing happens, but as soon as I say this, I load that text, and it appears on the page. So this is how you can sequence the loading of data from a file. And obviously, again, what can you do that's more interesting than just display that exact text back to you? Or might you have different buttons for different text, like choose your own source text for this web application that you're making, that type of thing. Okay, so we've seen almost everything now. I have one more piece of this. What if instead of loading text from a file, I want the user to be able to select a file themselves. So here's how I can do that. I can add to setup, I can say create file input. I'm just going to put that there with nothing else just to see that this does something. And I'm going to do this, and you can see, look at this. I now, by default, just that create file input has created this whole choose file, no file chosen button thing on the page. So I'm getting a lot of functionality from the web browser for free. And of course, I could style this differently. I could change probably what it says there instead of choose file. I could do a lot of custom stuff, but I'm using the basic raw default behavior. So when I press choose file, it opens up a file menu for me, and I could go here, and I could actually go and browse and find my rainbow.txt file and select it. And you can see there it is. Now, nothing happened. So what I need to do is I need to set up a callback for when the user selects a file. And there's some complications here, because what if the user selects an image file? What if they select a text file? What if they select some other kind of file that I can't think of right now? So I might have to handle different kinds of files differently, or do some error checking and that type of thing. But basically, I know that I need a callback. So let's go and add a callback. Create file input, and I'm going to say file selected. So I'm going to write a function now called file selected, and I assume that file is going to get some argument. That function is going to get an argument, and I don't know what's going to be there. I could look up in the documentation. So I'm just going to write console.log file. Now I'm going to run this, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to select that rainbow file, and you can see, look at this. What did I get? I get a P5 file object. So there are lots of things here that I get. I have what kind of file is it? It has a type and a subtype. What's the name? How big is it? So that sort of thing. So number one thing that I can do here is I can just say, I could say something like create p, file.name plus file.size plus file.type. So right now I'm going to create I could create a paragraph element with stuff about that particular file. So if I refresh the page, I select that file, you can see, I got rainbow.txt. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. It's got 12,000 some bytes in it. That's way too big. And it's a text file. I could select my HTML file. It's still a text file. I could look at the subtype. I could try to get, I feel like there must be an image file somewhere on this computer, but I'm not going to bother to look for it. I'll let you experiment with that yourself. So you can see I can have the browser, I can have my code know about the file that the user selected. And even better, I can get access to the contents of that file. And the way that I do that, what did I click here? No, stop. There, sorry. I can, I lost. I want to show you other stuff about the developer tools later, but I got lost in there. So what I want to do now is reproduce the contents of that file. And I'm going to say right here, create p file dot, and I think it's file.data. I believe the actual contents of the file is in file.data. So I'm going to choose file. I'm going to pick this. And you can see there it is. Here's all the contents there. Now, it's not coming in as an array, so I don't have the line breaks. I could do a replace to put BR tags in it. I'm not going to worry about all that right now. Ultimately, I now have the user able to select a text file that I can process and return something back to the user. The other thing that I will mention here is that I might want to protect and say, hey, only if file.type equals text, then create that paragraph. Otherwise, say I need a text file. So here, with a little bit if statement, I can add some error checking here. So if I run this again and I say choose file and I go somewhere on this computer under applications and I don't know, I try to get this chess application and I select that, it could say, look, here's this giant application, but I need a text file. So you can do some sort of error checking and that sort of thing within your code as well. Now, there's two more things about this, probably more than two. If you look in the documentation, there is a way to allow, and I'm going to look this up for you right now, create file input p5.js. Hopefully this is going to bring me to that page. It did not, so I'm going to find it myself. I'm going to go to p5js.org. I'm going to go to libraries. I'm going to go to p5dom, and I'm going to look for create file input. There is a second argument, which if you add, allows the user to select multiple files. And you have to handle those a little bit differently. Maybe you'll see this in some of my examples, or maybe I'll come back to this in a future video. So if you want the user to be able to select multiple files, take a look at this. That's there for you. And the other thing that I'll show you is that you can have a user, instead of having the user have to select a file, you can actually also have a user able to just take a text file and drag it into the browser, drop it in the browser, and have your program process that file. And geez, why is my phone ringing incessantly? I have to turn that off. Hold on, I'm turning on airplane mode. Okay, so If you want to learn how to do that, I'm going to publish examples that go along with the A to Z course that have that in it, but I've already made a video tutorial about drag and dropping a file into the browser. So I'm just going to Google drag and drop Schiffman YouTube, and I'm sure this video is going to come up right now. So I'm going to reference you. You'll find a link to this video in this video's description, and probably some kind of pop-up thing happening right now. If you want to take a look at that, you can go ahead and watch the drag and drop a file video tutorial to see how that works. All right, thanks very much for watching. This concludes the sequence of videos about how to get text from the user. Okay, we're doing kind of okay here, 12:15. I'm not getting to everything I wanted to get to, but I'm going to get to everything I wanted to get to. This is taking longer than I wanted. I need to go get a drink of water. This is actually coffee today because I'm a little bit on California time. I usually don't like to drink coffee with these live streams because I like to have some like tea or something, chamomile tea, because I'm already kind of too manic already. Okay, so what I want to do next is cover the string object, a bit about that in JavaScript. I'm going to do a video about that, and then I am going to do a coding challenge. But I need to take a break and get a drink of water, so you'll have to bear with me. Oh, by the way, in the chat, are you guys actually hearing that telephone ringing sound? I'm just curious. I don't know if you are. Breakout would be a great coding challenge that I would like to do at some point. You know, the old retro game stuff gets the most views of anything that I do. We are not, yes. Some people are saying they hear it, some people are saying they couldn't. Okay, so I probably shouldn't mention it. Yes, we are. That's my iPhone, iOS phone ringing thing. Okay, I'll be right back. I'll give you guys some, I need the this dot, here. SoundCloud, Daniel. Oh, I might not have set this up so you can hear this. Let's see. Can you guys hear that? I think you can. I'll be back. Just taking a break. I'm a live mic here. Okay, I'm back. Ooh, it's playing something else now. Okay. Okay, so what I need to do now, where am I in my syllabus page? I talked about load strings, preload, load strings and a callback, user selected files, the drop zone, and text. Oh, I didn't talk about content editable, but that's yeah, let's come back to that. You can find that. That's by the way, there's another thing you could use is content editable instead of a text area, which I should mention. Maybe I'll mention that. And now I want to talk about strings. So Index of substring. So I'm going to make a list for myself here of string functionality I want to cover. And I should really invest in some, like, I don't know, some super high-tech, bright, dark, really good whiteboard markers. Anybody have any recommendations? Let me know. These like sort of work, but after I use them for a couple days, they get, I mean, these I bought for like $5 at a pharmacy or something. Okay, index of substring. What else is in my list here? Index of substring. Length is important. Length split. I see. Okay. That's it. And join. Okay. Length. Okay. Build a smartboard as a coding challenge. Great suggestion. You know, what would really work well for me is if I had like a full extra day each week where I could just come here and work on my setup. But oh, sound effects are not working? I'm not playing any sound effects. Ah, they aren't working. Oh, that's funny. I think I probably played a whole bunch of sound effects you guys couldn't hear. It's because I didn't set up AirPlay from this. This is really not worth me wasting a lot of time on, but I'm going to do it real quick. Urgh. Okay, that should get the sound effects going again. Did you guys just hear that one? Full screen this. Let me see if this is working. Okay. No, my shirt, the back of my shirt is not dirty. It is a processing sketch. Okay, this is the output, the processing output of the code that's on my shirt. It's very faded. This is like a retro processing t-shirt quite a while in time. And I wanted to wear my Coding Rainbow t-shirt, but it has a green stripe in it. I feel like it just makes everybody crazy that the shirt appears see-through. So another time. Okay. All right.
Coding power. Coding
power. Here we go. So I am going to look at strings in JavaScript. Okay, so let me get myself set up here with another example. Load file, strings, and let me set up this example to do something. I don't need the text file in this one. I don't need the I want to have something like this. So I want to have output. I want to have input. I know some unicorns and rainbows. I live in a land of unicorns and rainbows. Submit. Let's see here. If I go to here, strings. Whoops, that didn't work. do I change the width of no. Anybody know off the top of your head? I'm trying to do this input element in HTML. How do I change the width? Like how wide it is? Character width. Input size. Oh, it's an attribute. Size equals, I think it's the number of characters. So like 500 will be an insane amount. Yeah. So I just want to make it like 100. There we go. So that works. Okay. Okay. I want to get rid of this. Oh. Sketch. Ah, right. Okay. TXT. I don't. Sorry, everybody. I'm just. And output is output. Submit is submit. New text. Just want to have a basic thing set up that I can do stuff to text. Okay. Okay, let's see here. I feel like I'm kind of blurry today. Am I blurry today? I never focus the cameras. I don't have time to do that kind of stuff. Just got to get through this stuff. Okay, so and now so here's my example. Here is where this material is coming from. Here's the Rainbow Wikipedia page. P5JS reference, so I'm going to go here. And then I also want to look at this page. There we go. And this is like a little tutorial, which is good, but I want the, I feel like there's a reference page, which I want. Or maybe it's just because I have the window. Ah, there we go. So here, okay, great. Oof, I'm running out of steam here, everybody. Okay, so two more things I want to do today to complete this week. One is a quick video about JavaScript string object. There's no way for me to focus this without another person, so I'm not going to bother worrying about it. Although I could put like a picture of myself here and focus on that. I think if I step closer, I'm more in focus, which is generally where I'm standing anyway. I want to do this tutorial about JavaScript strings. I didn't get that stupid glass of water. I went to go pee, and I forgot to get a glass of water. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. I'm going to play you the Coding Rainbow theme song. Here, a preview of just the theme song, since you're being so... where is it? Well, maybe I don't have it. Local. I thought I had it. Oh, wait, I have it. It's just not. Never mind. We'll get the instrumental. Hello? Something goofy's happening. But I'll be right back. Okay, here we am. Water. This is going to make everything better. Okay, here we go. And I have over here my list. Boy, you can barely read that. But c'est la vie. Okay. All right. Hello, welcome to another Programming from A to Z video tutorial. In this video, I want to look at how the string object in JavaScript. So what is the string object in JavaScript? If I say var s equals hello, I have now made a string object. Although there's some weirdness. Wait, time out. I just thought of something. Isn't there something where oops. There's a weird sort of thing where technically it's not an object until I do this. But it kind of lets you do all the object stuff anyway. I think I don't need to get into that in the video. It just sort of like popped into my head. Yeah, someday I'll start using ES6 stuff, but I'm just not ready for that. It's not until it's sort of like until somebody tells me that I'm just not ready for that. I barely can keep going right now. I'm like, my mind is melted, but I'm going to do it. Okay. How do I clear the console? That does not work. I thought there was a way. Maybe it's this. There we go, that button. Okay. Try this again. Okay, here we go. Hello, and welcome to another Programming from A to Z video tutorial. In this video tutorial, I want to talk about the JavaScript string object. So what is the JavaScript string object? Well, if you've ever written code like this, var s equals hello. Now I have a variable, and it has a string of characters, a sequence of characters in it, H-E-L-L-O. This is a string object. So on the one hand, I can use this string object to put text in a DOM element. I can use it to paint text onto a canvas. I can use it to print text to the console. But what I'm going to be doing in future videos is manipulate string objects. So if I load all the text from a file and I have this big string object with all paragraphs and paragraphs about rainbows, and I want to like chop it up and mix it up or analyze it or make poetry out of it, I need to learn how to manipulate string objects in JavaScript. So this is what I want to look at the basics of. And then next week, or in the next videos that you might see in the future that might already be there, I'm going to look at something called regular expressions, which is really going to just like explode the possible things you could do with text and JavaScript. But for right now, we're going to live with just the string object itself. And so if you want to learn about all the possible things you can do with string objects, the place that I would say that you can go to is the Mozilla JavaScript documentation. Look under reference global objects string. I'll include a link to this page in this video tutorial, and you can see there's like a nice little tutorial here that kind of runs through a lot of stuff. You can see all of these functions that you could call on strings, like index of and normalize and repeat and slice and strike and blah blah blah. So I'm not going to go over all of this with you. I'm going to give you a little bit of a kind of like wade into the waters of manipulating string objects. You can also find my notes on this on this particular web page, the A to Z programming website, which I'll also link to this page in this video tutorial. So I made a list over here on the whiteboard of things that I want to look at in this video. So I'm going to look at really just 3 pieces of functionality that have to do with strings. There's a long list of the Mozilla documentation. There's a lot of other ones that I encourage you to investigate and play with. But 3 that I find useful to some things that I might do. One is index of. Another is substring. The length property of strings is something that you need quite often. And then I want to also look at splitting and joining, which are operations that I'm going to be doing continuously throughout many tutorials and examples in this video series. There's a little bit of funny business about this that I have to get to and talk about at some point, but I'm not going to right now. Okay, so this is my list. Let's go in reverse order or some sort of strange other order. Let's talk about length. So I have a example set up already. right here that you can see. First of all, I can just say s.length right here. I should just be doing all of this in the console, really. If I say s.length, you can see I get a length of 5 because hello has 5 characters. Hello. Let's just look at how we would do this in code, right? I have a simple sketch, which all it does right now is it has a text input box. When I hit submit, I create a paragraph element with that text input box. I can go to my code, and one thing I can do is I can say, I'm just going to say var s equals text field dot value. So this is pulling what's in that text field and placing it into a string object. And now I'm going to say create ps.length. So now, when I run this code again, you can see that text has 42 characters. So if you want to build a check to see if your text can fit into a tweet application, you can see how. Oh, if it's greater than 140 characters, spit out, this is too long to tweet or whatever. So you can see that's one property we can use. Now, here's another property, here's another function that's really useful, index of. So let's say I say var s equals hello. Whoops. And I say s index of rainbow. What am I going to get? -1. Index of is a function that searches for some text like rainbow in some other text, s. I'm looking for rainbow in the text hello. Well, rainbow doesn't exist in the text hello. So what do I get? -1. -1 means I can't find that substring in that larger string. So this can be quite useful to you if a user types in some text and you want to figure out, did they type in this word or search for a word in that piece of text? Now, what else? What does it work? How does it work if that text is actually there? So let's look at that. So let's actually add this. So I'm going to say var index equals s.index of rainbow. And then I'm going to say create p index. So I'm going to run this again. And now I'm going to hit submit. And I got 33. Why did I get 33? Well, I'm going to say rainbow, 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 rainbow. Rainbow, 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 rainbow. Okay. And now I'm going to hit submit. And you can see I got 0. So what is it doing? I'm going to say 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, rainbow. I got 5. So what index of is doing is it's saying, hey, this is the index of the substring you're searching for. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, a rainbow starts at index 5. So this can be really, this seems sort of like trivial and silly right now, but you might load a massive amount of text in, and you might want to find where something, and this can be good for scraping and parsing. I want to find stuff that's in between this, so I have to find this, and where's that, and then I want to find something else, and then I'm going to use another function. I'm going to show you substring to pull out something in between. So you can see this is what index of does. So let's look at, actually that's fine right now. I'm going to leave it at that. Oh, one thing I should mention though is, what about the case where I said rainbow, rainbow, boy do I love rainbows. Right? In this case, I always get 0. But there's only one instance of, it's always giving me the first rainbow. But look what I can do. What if here I say index of, and hold on, let's put this, one thing I want to do is, sorry, I'm going to put this as the default text in the text box. And then here, in index of, I'm going to do something weird where I'm just going to say comma 10. And I'm going to hit submit, and look, I got 30. Why did I get 30? Let me take out that comma 10. I got 0. So here's something that the index of allows you to do. It allows you to say search for the first instance of rainbow after a certain index. So by default, it'll start searching from 0, but here I'm saying just start searching from the 10th character. So here's a difficult programming exercise for you. Write an algorithm that searches using index of for every instance of rainbow. So find the first one, then search for the next one after the first one, then search for the next one after that one. And keep doing that until you get a -1. Maybe I'll try to post a solution to that or make that as a coding challenge, but that's something that you could try to do. Okay. That's index of. One more function that I want to show you in this particular video that I think would be useful to you is substring. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say var new text equals s.substring 5, comma 7. And I'm going to run this. If hit submit, index is not defined. Create p, new text. Run this again. You can see I get OW. Why? Because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is the O. I want a substring starting at 5, and where do I want it to end? 6. Whoops. OW 6, 7. Oh, it's ending on a space. Bad coincidence there. So let me change this and change this to, actually, I'll just change the text. So I'm going to take out the spaces. Am I going to get OWR or am I going to get just OW? Think to yourself, what's it going to be? I still get OW. So this is a little goofy thing with substring, but let's say I have the text HELLO, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I say substring between 1 and 4, I'm including 1, but I'm excluding 4. So I'm just getting L there. So this is how substring works. You might ask yourself, well, that's annoying. That's weird. Why is it done that way? There's actually a pretty good reason, which is, number one, what's the length of this string? 3, substring, 3. What's 4 minus 1? 3. And often something you want to do is get a substring from some point of the text to the end of the text. And in that case, all I need to do is say, give me a substring. And here's something I could do. I could say substring from s.length divided by 2 all the way until the end, s.length. So this is now my code, right? Give me a substring between the middle of the string and the end of the string. You can see, do I love rainbows? Do I love rainbows? There is an answer to this question. I don't have a sound effect or anything, but the answer is, I think you know it's yes. Okay, so do I love rainbows? Yes. So you can see no matter what this is the first half, this is the second half, and I hit submit, and look at that. That's amazing. I got this. Somehow those worked out to be the exact number of characters. I don't see how that's possible, but it did. This is the second half. You can see how that works in getting a substring of the second half. So you can think of a lot of, here's an exercise for you. What if you have something like this? The temperature outside is 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Write an algorithm that pulls out the number 72 without knowing that it's going to be the number 72. So no matter what I type here, every time I hit submit, I get 72, 21, 50. How do you search for, and by the way, also I could change this to a temperature or, well, the temperature outside is, so it's not a fixed length. How do you search for where is colon space is so that you know where the number starts? And how do you search for where space degrees is so you know where the number ends? And by the way, it should still also work if I type in 101. So that's a programming exercise for you. Create a generic phrase of any length that, and you need to pull out a subset of text of any length out of that phrase. This is just one scenario. This has to, and by the way, next week when I do a video tutorial about regular expressions, you're going to see a totally other magical, powerful way of doing it. Okay, so this is the end of this video tutorial about strings. There's all sorts of other things that I've missed. This is just a small taste of it. Try some of those exercises. Try looking at the documentation page. Pick a random function like slice or search and see what it is. A lot of these might require regular expressions and see what you get. I forgot something. On my list over here, I want to briefly before I leave you in this video, I want to talk about splitting and joining. So let's just look at this. This is an incredibly common operation that I need in so many videos. And I could make another video about it, but I'm going to leave it in this one. So let's look at this, and I'm going to get to more about this next week with regular expressions. So this is just a little bit of a, I'm going to use right now, there are two functions that are part of the I'm going to show you three functions really, that are part of the P5.js library. One is split tokens, and one is join. Now, next week I'm going to show you how to use the native JavaScript split function to use regular expressions. So I'm going to kind of redo this. But in this video, I'm going to look at the P5.js function split, and I'm going to show you why this is so useful. Almost all of the text analysis algorithms that I'm going to demonstrate later are based on word counting. And one of the things you need to do with word counting is split a paragraph of text and multiple paragraphs of text into sentence chunks, into word chunks, that sort of thing. So I'm going to do that I'm going to show you how to do that with split, and it's actually quite an easy operation. So basically, I'm just going to go to the sketch right here. Whoops, there's something. Whoops, just missing here. So I'm going to leave this. This gives you half the text, but I'm just going to do something over here in the console, which is var s equals text field dot value. So now I have in the variable s, rainbow, rainbow, boy, do I love rainbows. And I'm going to say split s, just see what I get. So look at that. I say split s on its own. I don't really split it, but I get an array. And I get an array with the entire sentence in there. The whole point of splitting text is to take one chunk of text and split it into an array. So what if I say s and comma space in quotes? You can see now look what I have. I have an array with each word as a separate element. So I'm going to do a few things here. I'm actually going to do that right now in my code. I'm going to say var words equals split s by space, and then I can loop through all of the words and do something with them individually. I can say create p words index I. So now you can see I get a different paragraph element for every word in there. Now let me add a comma in here. And I'm going to hit refresh, and I'm going to add a comma in here. Notice how the first word has a comma. So what might I do? In this case, I might go to my code, and I might say, okay, split by space, comma, or comma space. Now look what happens. I'm going to add the comma in there. I'm going to hit submit. Now I just got two things, rainbow and rainbow, boy do I love rainbows, because it's split by comma space. And the only time a comma space appears is rainbow, comma space. What I want to do is not say split by comma space, split by comma or space. And again, a regular expression is going to be a nice solution to that. But for right now, without it, there's a P5.js function called split tokens. And if instead of using split, use split tokens, it'll actually do that for you. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to put the comma in there. I'm going to hit submit. And you can see now it worked. There's ways of retaining the delimiters, not retaining the delimiters. I'm going to show you more stuff about that in a future video. But these are just the basic idea. Split and split tokens. And join, by the way, does the absolute inverse. So one thing I can do is I could now say words dot sort. I think it'll sort it in array. I think it'll sort it by the default sorting. And then I could say s equals join words. And I think I probably might make a new array. So I'm going to say words equals words dot sort. And then I can say create ps. And I'm going to comment this out. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking this, turning it into an array, sorting it in alphabetical order, putting it back together, and then displaying it. And you can see, boy, do I love rainbow, rainbow, rainbows. And we can see this should be in alphabetical order. Alphabetical be in order should this. So you can see here's a quick algorithm. I've done something here to take a sentence, split it up, sort it by alphabetical order, and display it back to the user. I'm sure you could think of something much more creative to do with this paradigm of text input and text output. And in the next video, I'm going to show you, do a coding challenge about how to implement Jackson McClow's Diastic, which I'll explain in the next video as well, as text input, text output. Okay? Thanks very much. And yes, I apologize for not using Celsius in this video. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Oh, everybody's now going to leave this live stream and go watch the Apple live stream. Sorry about that. I didn't get done. Is it really 1 o'clock already? 12:50. Don't I have 10 more minutes? Part of me wants to take a break and just come back and go eat lunch and then come back in an hour. But I don't, okay. So, sorry, my shoe is untied. I don't know. I need all my music selection. I got to add all my music selection. Shoot, my shoe is completely untied. Oh, there we go. You see the top of my head? I have a little bald spot there. Can you see it? It's popping up. Okay. Blowing my nose. Sorry, everybody. This actually output isn't going through, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay. Yes, I see you guys. I fixed it. The chat's behind me. Okay. So. Diastic. I was going to put some music on in the background, but for whatever reason, hold on. This might actually be a really quick fix. There we go. Let's see if this works.
So this is random, this is noise. Perlin noise,
This might be really loud.
In the
Tell
core
me in the chat if it's
random
too loud.
algorithm, the actual random algorithm itself, those numbers aren't related at all. You pick, like, I'm picking random numbers between 0 and 10. 9, 2, 7, 6, 1, 9, 4, 8, 9, 2, 1, 3. I pick 9 a lot, apparently. But with Perlin noise, I might pick numbers like this. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6. Boy, this is like Perlin noise performance art. 9, 2, 7, 6, 1, 9, 4, 8, 9, 2, 1, 3. I think 9 a lot. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4. Boy, this is like Perlin noise performance art. 7, 5, 9, 2, 7, 6, 1, 9, 4, 8. But with Perlin noise, I might pick numbers like this. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 5. Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. This is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin noise, that is.
You guys can hear me, right?
Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is
still silence?
that is. Perlin noise.
Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin
I
noise,
see
that
that I'm
is.
broadcasting
This is
sound.
Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise.
I'm just about ready to do my today's coding challenge, but I want to make sure sound is
This is
working.
Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin noise, that is.
Okay, you hear me. Great. Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. All right. Whew. I need something to boost my energy here. Okay. Stop over. Okay. Boy, I'm all congested all of a sudden. I think I'm getting a cold. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to think of. Okay. Jackson Maclow. Ooh, I'm going to go to the Wikipedia page, I think. And I think, sorry everybody, I'm just finding, okay, the song is loud. Okay, apologies for that. Okay. Sticker. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do a coding challenge where I reference Jackson Maclow, Diastic technique, virtual muse, experiments in computer poetry. I will explain what a diastic is, how it works. I think I need the whiteboard for that. Let me see if yeah. I'm trying to determine what my best marker option is. I'm trying to get some energy back. Okay, here we go. If I step over here, I can read it. Okay. Okay. I got to do it. Now, one of my restrictions for this is I'm going to do this without using regular expressions and just kind of basic string parsing. But I will next week revisit this with looking at regular expressions. Okay. Marker, a bunch of different marker options, some water.
Coding Rainbow, Dan Schiffman.
Right? You guys are still here watching, enjoying this. You're all watching the Apple live stream now, which is good. Okay, here we go. I need to put some my processing stickers up higher. You can't see them. Advertise. Only the top stickers get featured. I'm going to have to work on that. I need a new laptop just so I can redesign my sticker setup. Okay. Hello, welcome to a coding challenge. This coding challenge is going to be pretty different from other ones. I expect this might be something that a lot of you watching my YouTube channel may not have heard of or thought about before. But I'm going to implement something called a diastic machine. And the diastic technique is a technique pioneered by Jackson Maclow, a 20th century, right? Because we're in the 21st century now. Wait, just time out. Maybe he was 21st century too. When did he die, Jackson Maclow? 2004. I'm not going to say 20th century. That was silly. Starting over again. And I think I can just leave this. I don't need to be zoomed in on this either. Okay. Okay. Let's try this again. Hello and welcome to another coding challenge video. In this coding challenge, I'm going to implement, oh no, sorry. I saw like something in my preview pane that was an overlay that's not, this is gonna be it, you guys. Hello and welcome to another coding challenge video. In this coding challenge, I'm going to implement something called a Diastic machine. So the Diastic machine that I'm going to build here is going to be based entirely on a technique, a Diastic technique invented and pioneered by Jackson McLough, artist, poet, composer, playwright, who pioneered a lot of algorithmic chance operate techniques around language to generate poetry without the use of a computer. So there's a long history of artists and poets working with algorithmic computational methods to generate language, to analyze language, and this is something that is really easy to forget in the world of kind of computers and learning to program, that so much of this kind of stuff can be done manually, and I encourage you to explore ideas similar to this with manual processes before you start to implement them digitally as a way of exploring and playing around. You know, there's another famous example is William Burroughs' cut-up method, which is called the cut-up because it's literally about making new text from folding and cutting pre-existing text and mashing them up together, which of course you could do with a computer, but you could also do with scissors and that sort of thing. But let me get beyond that. A great reference for this, by the way, that I'll also mention is the Virtual Muse, Experiments in Computer Poetry. This is a book that you can, I'll link both to Jackson McLough, pages about Jackson McLough, as well as the Virtual Muse book in this video tutorial. But let me just read to you the description of a Diastic machine excerpted from Charles O. Hartman's book. The process began with a striking phrase from Virginia Woolf's The Ways, ridiculous in Piccadilly. This is going to be known as the seed phrase. So in the program that I'm going to write, I need a seed phrase. He reread the novel, this is referring to Jackson McLough, looking for the first word that, like ridiculous, began with an R. Then read the next word following that had, like ridiculous, I as its second letter. Then the next word whose third letter was D, and so on until he had spelled through the whole phrase. So if that didn't make sense to you, let me come over here and kind of diagram this out for you. So let's say, surprise, surprise, I have the word rainbow, and I have some text like Ralph sat on, oh, that didn't work actually, painful ferns. Okay, I'm designing something to work precisely in a way that I can demonstrate this. So let me look in this text for a word that starts with R. Aha, Ralph. Let me look in this text for a word that has its second letter A, sat. Let me look for a word that has its third letter I, not on, but painful, sat, painful. Its fourth letter N, F-E, ferns. So you can see this idea of taking this seed phrase and finding words in an existing body of text with just the single letter in the same spot and creating a new phrase out of that. And this is a way, in a sense, of saying, I want to generate poetry, but I, the writer, don't want to play a sort of human being role in it other than sort of selecting the seed phrase and the source text, let the algorithm kind of do the talking, so to speak. And this is, I think that you, as a viewer of this video, I would encourage you, I'll reference some other examples of this, to generate your own system for doing this and see what types of outcomes you can get. Maybe you'll make a Twitter bot from it, that sort of thing. Okay, so coming back over here, let's go and start with, I have an empty sketch here, an entirely empty P5.js sketch, and I'm saying no canvas because I don't want to see a canvas. I'm not drawing anything in this. And I'm going to just find this here, and you can see I put a header in the HTML file, Jackson McLough Diastic, and I don't see anything on the page. So the first thing that I need to do is I want to get a seed phrase. I'm going to let the user type in the seed phrase. So what I'm going to do in the HTML file is I'm going to say, make a paragraph element, and I'm going to say seed colon input ID equals seed slash input, and I'll make sure it starts with rainbow. So now we can see I have on the page seed, and I started that with rainbow. Now I need to, in my program, get access to that. And also, I think it might make sense for me to add a button. ID equals submit, and submit will be the text of the button. So I'm adding that in. So now I have seed rainbow, and I have a submit button. And I want to attach, so now I want to attach an event. So this I have to do in JavaScript, because this is the structure of the page in HTML, and now I'm just going to affect the behavior of the page in my JavaScript code. So I'm going to say var seed equals select seed, var submit equals select submit, and submit dot mouse pressed. Now I'm going to do something I haven't done in a lot of my other videos. I tend to stay away from this. I could just say, like, do the thing and then define that function down here. But I'm going to take this as an opportunity to show you something which is an anonymous function. I'm just going to put the callback right in here. Oh, that's very awkward looking. But it's actually kind of a nice way of writing condensed code. When you click the mouse on the submit button, the submit button, execute this code that's inside this anonymous function. It's anonymous because it doesn't have a name. So what do I want to do right there? Just to see that it's working, I'm going to say create p seed. We're obviously going to need to do, and not seed, but seed.value, the text of the seed itself. And I'm going to have to do a lot more there, of course, but I'm just going to say that for right now. So now, if I hit submit, we can see this page is doing some basic stuff that is at least getting the seed. So I have the seed. Right? Now I have this seed in my code. I need some sort of source text to use to be the words that I search for. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm just going to load from a text file. And I happen to have a text file here which just has a lot of text from the Wikipedia page on rainbows. So I'm going to do it the easiest way possible in my code with just preload. So I'm going to write a preload function, and I'm going to have a global variable called source text. I'm going to kind of call it a goofy name. I'm going to say source text equals load strings rainbow.txt. And one thing you might recall if you watch some of my other videos is that the load strings function loads in the text, but loads it as an array. So it gives you each line in that text file as an array. And so what I'm going to do in setup is once that text is loaded, I'm going to say source text equals join source text with a space. So I'm going to get rid of that array and join it so I have one long string. So now I have one long string, and I just got to make sure it's there. I'm going to also say create p source text. So now if I hit run, if I reload the page, I have the seed and I have the source text. So now I've set up the page. That's just sort of step one. Now I actually need to implement the Diastic algorithm. OK, so let's go back to our code and do that. This is going to be fun. And actually, I just realized here's something that I want to actually do. I want for my Diastic algorithm, I want the source text not to be one long string, but I want it to be just a array of words, a list of words. So I'm going to create a global variable called words, and I'm going to say words equals split, and I'm going to use the p5.js function split tokens, and I'm going to say split that source text up by, and split token says whatever, these are the delimiters, the second arguments are the delimiters. I want to split it up by space, comma, exclamation, anything that's basically something that's not a, so I could do this much more effectively, but I'm just going to do that right now. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to look just in the debugging console, and I can see I have an array of basically many, 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 many words. So I have all the words of an array with every single word as a separate element in that array. And you can see that it's 2,132 words long. So this is what I'm going to be able to use now. I'm going to search through that array to find words that have, and by the way, it's probably going to find rainbow over and over again, but I'll deal with that later because I'll give it a different seed phrase. OK, so here we go. Now what I want to do is, instead of creating those paragraphs, I want to say, let me execute a diastic with what? I want to pass in the value of the seed, and I want to all of the words. So I'm going to write and I'm going to have that function take a seed and an array, and that function will return a diastic the results of this diastic technique. So I'm just going to go to the top of my code now, because I can kind of worry about this algorithm as its own thing completely. And I need a function called diastic, and it gets a seed and a bunch of words. And I'm using the same variable name. So what's the first thing that I need to do? The first thing that I need to do in the algorithm is look at each character one at a time, because I need to find a word that starts with R, a word that's second letter is A, a word that's third letter is I, that sort of thing. So I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to say what? For var I equals 0, I is less than c.length, I plus plus. And then the character that I'm working with is seed car at. Boy, this is a function that's part of the JavaScript string object that I think I neglected to mention in some of my other videos. If I say car at I want the character at index I, right? And in a string, all characters have an index. Index 0, index 1, index 2. So if a string is 5 characters long, like hello, the indices go between 0 and 4. So once I have that, I want to then have another loop. And what do I want to loop through? I want to loop through every single one of the words. And I want to say if words index j dot car at I equals C, then I have found a word, right? I found a word that has its own character at the same spot I as the character I'm looking for. And once I do that, I'm just going to say console.log just to see if this kind of idea works, and break. So here we go. I'm going to run this program now. I'm pretty sure I'm going to run this. We should see a bunch of things. So look at this. I got rainbow 7 times. So first of all, let's do a different seed phrase. This is, testing 1. Just do testing 1. You can see I got T-E-S-T-I-N O-E, and that's all. So you can see this worked. Now I got some of them twice. So here's the thing, one thing I need to build into this is I need to say the reason why I got rainbow 7 times is because my loop starts over every single time. So every single time I find a word, I go R matches with R, then I go A matches with A. So one thing that I need to change about this is I need to, while I'm doing this, keep track of some things. So first of all, I need to have a phrase. I want to kind of have a phrase which starts like this. And when I find the word, I want to say phrase plus equal. I want to concatenate. So the plus operator joins 2 strings together. I'm going to say plus equals words index j. And then I'm going to say return phrase. So one thing that's going to be nice about this, now that I've done this, is I can stop using the console for debugging, and I can say create p phrase. So let me run this again. And you can see I got rainbow, 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 rainbow. And I say test. I got that meteorological dispersion, that. So one thing I want to do, by the way, is I also want to add a space. So I'm going to do this a sort of silly way, but I'm just going to have 2 lines of code there. And you can see rainbow, 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 rainbow. So now what I want to do is make sure I look for the next instance of a word after the first one I found. So I'm going to keep track of that index, or like current word equals 0. So I want to start my loop when I look through all of the loops from current word. So I want to go from current word to the end of that array. And as soon as I find one, I want to say current word equals j plus 1. I want to go to the next word. So instead of this loop of searching through all the words, always going back to the beginning, I want to save where I last found one and start from the next one. So this should do this. Rainbow caused rainbows, rainbows, rainbow, rainbow, rainbow. So I'm still getting a lot of rainbows, but I can now say things like, do unicorns exist? Question mark. So during good, about, during moonlit, numerically, direction, encounter, dispersion, brightness. Now, amazingly, I'm not getting any errors here, and I probably should do some error checking, like what if I got to the end of the array and I don't have any more where more to look? What if no word exists with that in there? So I'm going to sort of leave this as that. I'm going to release this code. Another thing that I could do is track all the possible words that have O as the second letter, and I can always pick a random one so that each time I hit submit, I get a different one. That's something that you might add to this. Error checking is something that you might add. I don't know if there's anything weird happening when I have a space, because space is technically a character that I'm checking. So the question mark is in there, but it seems to be working. Let's just D-O space U as fourth letter. So you can see, so I got to do some stuff, clean up that sort of way. So I probably missed some things, but I encourage you who are watching this video to play around with this code, make your own Diastic, tweak the algorithm, generate poetry, share it with me, share it with the world, and explore other types of ideas. And if you're in the Programming from A to Z playlist, the next video I'm going to talk a little bit more about this and a homework assignment for this set of material and some other types of techniques and historical algorithms like the Diastic that you might look at as well. Okay? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video, maybe, perhaps someday. Okay, everybody. Whew. I think I did that successfully. I want to see how many viewers have I lost. Oh, there's still 74 people watching. So I need to do one more video. Give me a second here. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to do today, the last thing that I'm going to do today is talk about a homework assignment for those of you who are following the course. And the way I want to do that is I want to look at flesh index, cut up machine, erasure, poetry machine, n plus O. Okay. Okay. All right. Last video of the day. Hold on. Okay, Ulipo. N+7 technique. Cut-up machine, flesh index calculator, the Diastic. N+7. This is a great example. Machine, hold on, are you sure? And where's my example? Sorry everybody. When I get to the end of these live streams, I can barely keep it together. Okay. 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 All right. What are you doing? I'm losing my mind is what I'm doing. Okay, here we go. Wrong sound effect, but whatever. I'm going to cycle the cameras. I'm going to finish this off for today. Action, please. Yeah, modulus strings.length would be a great tip for adding to that previous program I wrote. Okay. Hello. I think I have to use this like musical beginning. Gets me kind of, it feels like I'm making a video. Hello, this is the last video for this week's session of, no, the week is irrelevant because people are going to be watching this on YouTube later. Musical, okay. Hello, in this video, if you're choosing to kind of follow this programming from A to Z playlist as a course that you're doing over some period of time, I'm going to talk you through a homework assignment or exercise that I think is useful to do before you move on to the next set of videos. And if you're interested in participating in a Slack channel where you can share and discuss these assignments, please check this video's description for a link to the Patreon crowdfunding system that I'm using for that particular Slack channel. But of course, you could just do it and share it with me on Twitter or in the YouTube comments, and I'd love to see the things you guys are making. So here's what I think you should do. Number one is I think, okay, so in the previous coding challenge where I implemented Jack McLow's Diastic technique, one of the things that you can try to do for this homework assignment is invent your own constrained writing technique. So constrained writing is a sort of form of writing based on an algorithm or some sets of constraints. There's a French collective of writers known as Oulipo who pioneered a bunch of different techniques. One of them is known as the N+7 technique. This is a nice website which I'll also include which implements this particular technique. In French, it's actually referred to as S+7. And the way that this works, N+7, you look at a body of text, you look for every single noun in that text, you find the noun for every noun in a body of text, you look up that noun in the dictionary, find the seventh noun after that one, and replace it back into the text. And now you have a new text sort of with randomly generated new nouns based on the order of appearance in a dictionary. So you could try to, one thing you might do is just implement one of these algorithms, like make your own N+7 web page. You can see this web page works very similarly to a lot of the examples that I've demonstrated for you. Another kind of famous example is, this is one of my examples that you can find in the A to Z GitHub repository. This is using William Burroughs' cut-up method, which is actually a physical method of cutting up text and folding text and matching it up. You can see that I have a slider which sort of determines how much of the original text to keep. You can drag a file in, use a text sample. So one thing I'll mention is this frame of reference is a good reference for you to use, where it's kind of giving the user a lot of options. Enter some text, drag a file in, use a preloaded text sample. An erasure machine, erasure poetry, not to be confused with the band erasure, cue erasure music now, is a technique. I'm going to just load a text sample in right now, which is a spam email that I received at one point. And you can see I'm using DOM manipulation to click on all these words and actually erase them, but I could come up with another system like erase every 7th word, or erase every verb, or erase every word that starts with E. So, and I can also, by the way, based on how I'm doing this, keep the spacing or remove the spacing, and what types of sort of generative poetry could you create out of the erasure algorithm. So, but even though I'm showing you these digital versions of it, you might want to wait until next time, after you've watched the regular expression videos, to actually implement your interactive web-based version of it. As a constraint on yourself, invent your own algorithm to do by hand. Get a newspaper, get a magazine, get a book, invent your algorithm, write the instructions for the algorithm, and execute those instructions and get your new text. And then present those instructions and present the result on a web page. So think about, one of the things I'm asking people to think about is, how do you have a self-documenting web page? So instead of presenting kind of the result and then having a blog post that explains it, could you have a web page that kind of has the instructions, has the result, kind of documents itself, and something you might consider using is GitHub Pages to host it. So get yourself set up, figure out GitHub Pages, get yourself an account, review HTML and CSS for yourself, think about creative constrained writing techniques, and generate the content and release it online. Yeah, so give that a try. Share it with me however you might find it useful to share, and I encourage you, if you want to ask questions or discuss your work with me and a group of peers, consider joining the Patreon Slack channel as well if you're enjoying what you're kind of watching so far. And I'll be back in a next set of videos. They might be there by now if you're watching this much later than when I've recorded it, but otherwise we'll be back about a week from now. Okay? And enjoy, and I will see you sometime soon. Thanks for watching. Okay, I think I'm done for today. This was a, what time is it? It is 1:30. So this was about, I would say, about 3 hours and 15-minute live stream, which is about 45 minutes longer than a class at ITP. I'm completely exhausted. Thank you guys for sticking with this. I suppose there's like a new iPhone now that I could buy or something, because I don't have enough like Apple devices all around me. And I'm going to see you guys next week. It's going to take me a minute to kind of get myself situated here. I'll leave the stream going for a minute. If anybody wants to ask a question, please do so. I think I've lost most everybody. Are you there? Are you there, YouTube viewers? It's me, Margaret. I don't know if you'll get my reference, but I can turn my phone off of airplane mode now. I can see all these notifications that are coming in, et cetera, et cetera. I think people are saying, yep, like you're still watching. Okay. Did that come through, the homework assignment? Did people miss it? Roberto in the chat writes, in short, learn HTML, CSS, and how to use GitHub all in week on your own. So that sounds a little harsh. I think you were probably just in a friendly way translating what I said. But just so you know, I have resources and videos for all of those things that are part of this week's material. They're just not what I recorded today. All right, so I'm going to go. Thank you for watching. I'm going to put on my background music. I guess I'm just going to close out my windows. I'm going to just see if there's anything in the chat. People are saying thank you, which is very nice. Positive feedback is welcome and encouraged. Negative feedback is also absolutely welcome and encouraged. Any feedback is welcome and encouraged. Be nice if you can, but positive, negative, constructive criticism. When will the code of this session be loaded? Great question. Okay, so a couple things. This is confusing, and Mathieu, I don't know if you're actually still there watching, but so the code that should be referenced in this video's descriptions should be in two places. One, it should be in this A to Z-F16 repository, which is my example repository for the class. So basically everything that I'm doing in this video session, there should be like duplicate examples that are mostly similar in this repository, and that's already there. But I will also, if I go to my coding rainbow-code, what I will do is create a new folder, probably called A to Z. Obviously the coding challenge code will end up though in the challenges folder, but I'll get this stuff up on GitHub within the next 24 hours. There we go. That answered that question. I love that people thought the back of my shirt was dirty. It's the processing design. Support processing in P5.js. Consider making a donation. It's a plug that I should always make. I love that people want to support me, and I appreciate that as well. But another way of supporting me, directly or indirectly, is, I don't know why this is not. Sadly, the Processing Foundation website isn't loading for whatever reason, but I encourage you to do that. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks for watching again. There's the Processing Foundation website. Support, I encourage you to do that. Processing is a non-for-profit 501c3 United States corporation. Goodbye, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you in a future session.